Expecting someone?
Yeah.
You might have a long wait.
Well, apparently it wasn't my fault. Bronchopneumonia. Died peacefully in his sleep. As I trust I shall one day. Though hopefully not with these boots on.
Oh, you'll be going now, then?
In a tick, yes.
I suppose he'll be going and all.
Well, before long, yes.
So the only poor plod actually staying in this bloody awful place is me, then, is it? It's kind of like an exclusive club, really.
Yes.
Except most people can't get in unless they've kicked the bucket. That's probably the only way I'll get out.
Good.
Still, I hope to be glad I've got a job.
Well, exactly. Millions of people would give their eye teeth to be in your place.
Bit of a cruel stroke of fate. I got lumbered with it then.
Yes. Anyway, I must be...
I don't get paid any extra, you know.
Really?
No, them porters in the laundry, they get the same as me. Not that I want more money. I want out. That's what I want.
Yes, only I
Do you know I've been a porter there for 14 years? 14 years, can you believe that? I was a young man when I first started this job.
But I'm going to the cinema.
I knew I was an old man 24 hours later.
Anyway, bye, Clifford.
See you all. Stay happy.
I can't believe it. That cinema used to be wonderful.
Sheila, it did say in the paper they divided it up into 6 smaller cinemas.
It did not say each one had a screen the size of a tea bag.
No.
I just think it's sad. Whatever happened to CinemaScope and Cinerama?
I remember the first film I ever saw in that place, years ago, Lawrence of Arabia. You can almost feel the sun melt in your chocos.
What do you get now? 3 square inches of Mel Gibson's backside, and that's your lot. We'd have been better off staying here and watching the television.
You have been burgled. Well, I mean, Daniel isn't home for half-term and had a party or anything like that.
Jonathan.
I'll call the police.
You see, all coffee is more or less the same.
Yes.
Of course, different types come from different countries, Kenya, Brazil, but the fact remains, by the time they get into a pot in this hospital, they all taste of aircraft lubricant.
Yes. On a good day.
Mr. Hopewind, Mr. Copeland, could I have a word?
Now, tea, on the other hand, comes in a myriad of wonderful flavours. Peppermint, pecan, lapsang,
Morning, Patrick.
Morning, sir.
So who exactly is doing what on this list?
Well, the idea was that I would do the hernia, the breast lumps, the laparotomy and the cryoprobe, and Mrs. Sabatini would take the weight off my shoulders by doing the embolectomy first.
That's not much.
Well, I did kind of hint it wasn't a very long operation.
And what did she say?
In which case I wouldn't have time to go anywhere, so I might as well help with that too.
Patrick, Keating Ward.
Right, what been on? Burgled?
Yes, over the weekend. Jonathan says they made an awful mess.
Good Lord.
Jonathan was there?
Yes. Now, I haven't yet gathered all the facts, but apparently they'd been to see a film. Lethal Weapon 3, I think. Which is strange to begin with, because Sheila can't stand that sort of thing. Plus, I'm sure you can get it out on video now. Anyway, when they came home, she went to open the lounge door while Jonathan was hanging up his coat. Now, I think he'd probably hung it up by then.
Yes, you expect to have the culprits behind bars by when?
I'm just warning you, because she's bound to be emotional, and I don't want anyone upsetting her.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. I presume you've given this advice to the other members of staff?
No, only to you two.
Terrible news.
Yes. I rather get the idea we cannot be trusted with anything.
Quite. Anyway, the point I was going to make about tea was that
George,
you...
no, please.
Neil, George, good. Now listen, I expect you've heard about Sheila's bit of bad luck.
Yes, quite frightening, really.
Frightening.
Well, one accepts there are people out there prepared to do this kind of thing, but the knowledge that there's one with the guts to do it to Sheila Sabatini.
Neil.
Well, it has to be said, old boy, there are a good many people who wouldn't dare go into that house, even with a written invitation.
Yes, certainly not without a clove of garlic and a crucifix.
My God. I thought you two might be a bit sympathetic.
Oh, we are.
Awful business.
Can you imagine what would have happened if she'd come back and it'd still been there?
Yes, groups of police would now be mounting a search for his genitalia.
Anyway, I've been thinking, and I reckon we ought to go easy on Sheila for a while.
Oh.
Look, she's bound to be emotional, so I don't want anyone upsetting her.
You must feel awful.
Well, not so much now. I've had the weekend to get over it.
No, but when something like this happens, it's awful.
Yes.
I suppose the worst thing's knowing some complete stranger's been through all your personal belongings.
Yes, that's right. I remember when it happened to my sister.
But it wasn't that bad. I mean, they didn't go upstairs.
Oh, how can you be sure? These people don't always take things. Sometimes they just, go up for a look.
Anyway, the point is, you mustn't dwell on it. You must try and block the whole terrible experience out of your mind.
Well, funnily enough, that's exactly what I was trying to do.
Good. I feel much better.
Sheila, I've just heard about your burglary. I really am very sorry.
Thank you.
You must feel awful.
Simon, how can you be so thoughtless?
I don't know, men do.
You see, there's a whole panoply of tastes just crying out to be sampled.
Yes, of course. Tea.
Oh?
Darjeeling, mint, chamomile,
Yes.
Earl Grey, rosehip.
That's all he's prattled on about all morning. Tea.
Mr. Hope win.
Hold on, please.
I mean, it's hardly a very interesting subject, is it? Tea.
No, it isn't. Fogarty catheter. Check the balloon.
1.5 mils?
Fine.
Why it keeps going on and on?
Jonathan, have you ever heard of the Happy Hunting Ground, Forceps? It's where Red Indians go to when a Fogarty catheter gets wrapped round their windpipe. Now, I know you're trying to avoid depressing me by not mentioning my burglary, but there's no need to bore me to death in the process. Now, can we please talk about something more interesting? I'll accept politics if we're desperate.
I've always felt the best way to come to terms with a bad experience is to talk about it.
Yes, all right then. Who wants to hear about Giles's bad experiences?
Go on, Giles.
Well, I didn't quite mean...
Come on, Giles. You know what they say. A trouble shared is a trouble everyone else can have a good laugh at.
I think you're missing the point, Sheila. I think what Giles means is confrontation therapy.
Swab.
Yes, quite often the really awful things in life just disappear if you turn and face up to them.
I saw this programme once about people who were frightened of spiders.
I saw that.
And what happened was, these psychologists, they got them to hold these great big hairy ones for as long as possible to overcome their phobia.
So what happened then?
Oh, I don't know. Switched off. I thought they're the creepy little beggars. What happened?
Well, I didn't see it right to the end.
Sucker, please. Jonathan, why is it, no matter what we talk about, you've always seen a programme on it? Sanitary habits of the web-footed dustbin diver? Oh, yes. Funnily enough, I was watching BBC One last night. Anyway, you don't have to convince me. As it happens, Giles, I agree with you.
Oh.
One should talk about these things. Except to Joyce, Simon Field, or sister, in which case one is simply lumping one bad experience onto another. And despite rumours being spread by Joyce with the efficiency of someone sewing a rice paddy, I have not become an emotional basket case. I am simply angry. I mean, look, here I am, removing a blood clot from this man's leg because he has asked me to. I have not crept in through an unguarded orifice and whipped it away in a stolen transit.
Plus, if you didn't remove it, he'd more than likely drop down dead.
Exactly.
And even death pales into insignificance when you think the first person he's going to meet afterwards is Clifford.
I just think...
That porter in the mortuary.
I mean, normal people...
I want town, that's what I want now. Now he is depressing.
Jonathan...
I was there once, there was me, this pathologist and Clifford. And by the time he'd finished groaning on, the most cheerful-looking one in the room was been pushed into a fridge.
Sister, would you mind removing that before I proceed to flagellate Dr. Haslam? Thank you, Patrick.
No problem, Mrs. S.
Right, there it is.
What's that for?
I want a list right now of all the things I can't talk about except under pain of death. So far, it includes tea, burglars, Clifford, web-footed dustbin divers, Joyce, Simon Field. Anything you'd like to add?
Yes, why not? Televisions, videos, my engagement ring. 2 silver cups that Daniel won for being best nobbler of the opposition at badminton. 10 napkin rings.
Is this what they got away with?
Oh, let's not stop there. 1 personal computer. The compact displayer you bought for my birthday.
I was wondering if wassa is some foreign indication of where one puts the water.
What's that there for?
And a Gefunken teas maid my husband brought back from Munich and which cannot be obtained in this country.
Oh, something interesting?
My horoscope says the bad times are almost over and I can look forward to a really nice weekend.
How marvellous. Anything on the horizon for us Capricornians?
You're going to form a relationship with a blue-eyed man in the building trade.
Ah, is that on the executive side or just some hod carrier? I'm rather particular about brick dust in the bedroom.
Mr. Copeland, why is it you're always wandering around looking bored?
Well, I must say I find that rather unfair. Between 2 and 4 o'clock most afternoons, I can be found looking bored, totally immobile.
You've always got this fed-up expression on your face.
I am simply externalizing the noxious mass of tedium I experience internally. Like all intelligent beings, I require constant stimulation, academic discussion, some exquisite work of art to look upon, philosophical questions to ponder. And what does this environment have to offer?
I think Mrs. Sabatini's having a punch-up with Mr. Hope Wynne in the restroom.
Well, that's more like it. Would you excuse me?
I'm not suggesting it's mine. I'm telling you it's mine.
Problems?
Sheila, are you positive? I mean, you said the burglars didn't go upstairs.
I didn't have it upstairs. I don't like waking up with something steaming and gurgling next to me. At least not since my husband left. I had it in the cupboard in the kitchen.
That machine was purchased brand new this morning.
Well, if it was brand new, where's the packaging?
That's it?
Well, my dear woman, one does not buy a top-of-the-range teas made for £9.50 and expect a box. This particular one was fire-damaged stock and the packaging was unusable.
So they gave it to you in that?
Matter of fact, it's extremely good back. I had one rather like it during my national service.
How strange. My son had one exactly like it till last Friday night. Daniel Sabatini.
Good Lord.
George! Well, I expect afternoon tea is off then, is it?
No. Before we move on to the violence, I'd like some answers.
Yes. Assuming you're going to call the police, would it be entirely necessary to mention my name?
George, no one's going to think that you burgled Sheila's house.
Anyway, it couldn't have been you. They got in through a window.
Receiving stolen goods happens to be an offence. I could land up in court.
Withholding information is also an offence, and if I don't get it, you could land up in traction.
George, come on.
Well, I'm simply anxious to avoid a scandal, even if Sheila should be kind enough to withhold my name. The man I point the finger at could very well grass on me in revenge.
Look, if it's any help, let me put this in its full legal perspective. Have you ever seen the Central Criminal Court in London?
Yes, of course.
Overhead, there is a statue of a woman. In one hand, she holds a sword. In the other hand, she holds a set of scales. Now, if I don't get the address of the shop that is currently dealing in my belongings, I will do an impression of that statue, and in my left hand, I will not be holding the scales.
I must say, I find this whole attitude completely selfish. I mean, whoever's selling these goods is clearly a criminal and deserves to be crushed under the full weight of the law.
He's right, George.
If in the process George should also get banged up for 3 or 4 years, that is simply the price one pays for justice.
I bought that machine from one of the porters.
Porter?
Which porter?
Well, it pains me to say it because he's always been very reliable in the past.
Which porter?
Patrick.
Oh, well. In that case, there must be some mistake.
Good Lord, yes. Patrick would
Our
never...
Patrick. The nice one.
How long have we all known
Yeah.
you, Patrick?
Oh, it must be 6, 7 years at least.
Yes.
Hello, could I have an outside line, please?
Just as a matter of interest, might one ask whom you're calling?
I'm calling the police.
Sheila, don't you think that might be jumping the gun a bit? I mean, after all...
After all, what?
After all, he's a very nice man.
I don't care if he's got diplomas from charm school. He's selling my things.
But don't you think we should give him the benefit of the doubt?
What doubt?
He's an extremely nice man.
Someone's got to do something. Well, you tell her. That's no good. It has to be someone who knows how to deal with Sheila.
George. George?
Will someone tell me what's going on?
Outside line, please.
What's going on?
Sheila, we'd really rather you didn't call the police.
Why?
Well, Patrick is one of those people who, if I need a fork for my garden, or Neil needs a spare part for his car, or Simon needs a fridge freezer, well, we always ask Patrick.
And the chap's always got one.
Or more than likely a couple of hundred.
At remarkably reasonable prices.
So what I'm saying is...
So what you're saying is that you've all bought things from Patrick in the past.
Yes. You know, the odd fork. A spare part for my car.
Dishwasher.
I see.
Now, clearly, if Patrick is a criminal...
If?
As I think I said previously, the full weight of the law should and must come down on top of him.
Yes.
We're just a little bit worried it might also come down on top of us.
Are you listening to this?
Yes, it's disgusting. All the same, I think it might be an idea if we just waited.
Oh, for God's sake, not you as well.
Well, it was only a makeup set. Do you know what they cost full price?
That's right. I only bought 3. 4 presents.
Excuse me. I wasn't quite sure what time we were starting this afternoon.
We're not, you are, 2 o'clock. Giles, have you ever bought anything from that porter, Patrick?
Bought anything?
Yes, you know, car accessories, garden equipment, a new kitchen.
If she calls the police, I'll be the first person in our family with a criminal record. I'll be ostracised, disowned. I won't have any roots to be proud of.
I don't think it's quite that serious a crime.
No. Anyway, they won't bother with people like you.
That's right.
The one they'll really clobber is Giles.
Me?
Yes. I mean, you're more important than we are.
Well, I only bought 2 propelling pencils.
Your medical staff, they're bound to go for the big fish first.
Why?
It's less trouble. No one minds if a doctor gets arrested. But lay one finger on a nurse and the coal miners come out on strike.
I'm not that big a fish, really.
You're a senior houseman.
I'd say that was more of a sprat.
You're supposed to be intelligent. What's someone like you doing mixed up in murky goings-on?
I just really liked these propelling pencils.
People expect you to set an example. No wonder we subordinates get led astray. And I think I should warn you. I'll be saying that to the magistrate.
And me.
Look, I know it's a bit unfair on you.
Not in the slightest. I call the police, you lot get porridge, and I quite possibly get my things back. I don't call that unfair, I call that Christmas. However, I am prepared to try something else first.
What?
Sheila's going to have it out with Patrick.
Yeah.
And he's there now, this minute.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, I'm missing it.
Joyce, what are you doing?
Jonathan, I am a woman. She might need me. And anyway, even if she doesn't, there's no harm in standing outside listening.
Joyce, that is a private conversation. Anyway, you never know, there might be a bit of,
What?
a bit of argy-bargy.
Well, you think it might be that good? Excuse me.
Joyce!
I'm not making moral judgments.
Oh, come on.
Come on, what?
Look, I'm a porter. I don't know much compared with a lot of people in this department. So I trade in a few bits and bobs on the side.
Bits and bobs.
Shop soiled goods.
How the hell can you have a shop-soiled dishwasher?
They get scratched.
They get nicked.
They get your plates clean.
I would rather have dirty plates.
Well, you're the only one. I've shifted 3 in this department.
Oh, I see. And where exactly did they come from?
No one asked at the time.
I'm asking.
What kind do you want?
I don't want one. I'm trying to make a point.
So am I. Look, if you wanted one, you won't be asking where it came from. You'll be asking how much. Like everyone else with hefty load of moral principles.
I take it you do know who burgled my house.
Oh, of course I don't. Things just come to me down the line. If I'd known that tea maker was yours, I wouldn't have sold it to Mr. Oak Wynn, would I?
Of course not. You'd try shifting it in the postnatal clinic.
Giving it back.
Could you lay your hands on the rest of my things?
Well, that's a more sensible question. I mean, who knows?
Could you?
Yeah,
Well, that's something.
that's a price.
Price?
Well, I can't get them for nothing. They don't belong to me. Say, 250?
Say I call the police.
They'd nick most of the stuff and bump the price up to 500.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This conversation is now over, which is just as well for you as a surgical clog in the mouth can be a severe hindrance to speech. So let me just say this. If your friends are interested in any more second-hand goods, you might like to inform them that your giblets will shortly be pitchforked onto the open market. Thank you so much.
Sheila, I couldn't hear. What was he saying about dishwashers?
What do you reckon?
Not good news, I would say. Of course, if that should be the case, you may be required to play our trump card.
I'm sorry he's pushed me too far.
Well, I really think we should consider the idea first.
Sheila.
I mean, £250 is hardly a great deal of money considering the items in question.
The items in question happen to be mine already.
But
I have an outside line, please?
Sheila, can I have a quick word?
No, I'm sorry. I've made up my mind. I've made my decision.
It won't take a second, just a quick word.
No!
Sheila!
Oh!
She seems rather determined to call the police.
Oh, I shouldn't worry about that under the circumstances.
You gave me stolen goods for my birthday.
Sheila! Do you know how much compact disc players cost? I'd have paid the full price, naturally. But when Patrick told me he had a couple in his locker, well...
Sheila.
Of course, Jonathan swears he would have paid the full price.
I've thought about it, and you'll be pleased to hear that I have decided that £250 is not such a great deal of money after all.
Oh?
Well, that settles it then.
Yes, back to the fray.
Divided by 6. I calculate that to be £41.60 each.
Everything?
Yes, a van came round last night. I'm just a shade concerned because I seem to have a Chesterfield now, and I'm damn sure I didn't have one before.
All right.
Yes, thank you. I was de-burgled at 7 o'clock yesterday evening.
Sheila, about that compact disc player.
It didn't work.
What?
It didn't work, ever. The little door opened and closed, the discs span around very successfully, but if Cacciaturian ever came pumping out of it, it wasn't through the headphones.
I'll kill Patrick!
Oh, by the way, everyone's contribution to the £250 has been upped slightly. I've let Joyce off.
Why?
Because, in her capacity as administrator, she saved you the trouble of killing Patrick, and I don't feel quite so bad about not calling the police.
What? Had him sacked?
No, not sacked. Transferred.
God, I'd never have thought of that.
Unfortunately, there is a price to be paid for everything. And in this case, it is astronomically high. Clifford!
Clifford!
So, how are you finding things?
Well, it's out the frying pan into the bloody fire.
Yes, if you could just...
Have you seen what goes on in there?
We just need you to get...
I don't mind wheeling the patients in, but if anyone asks me to step foot in there...
Clifford!